things exemplify the relationship between India and Pakistan as vividly as this display. Almost every single day since 1959, elite soldiers from both nations have squared off in a flag-lowering ceremony at the Wagah border crossing, a performance unlike any other. Under the watchful eye of the nation's founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the Pakistani soldiers in black equally challenge and warn their neighbor. And that is the highlight of the day at this border crossing. Trade is down to a trickle, a handful of trucks. Some estimates say if relations between the two countries improved, cross-border commerce could jump tenfold from its current level of around $2 billion a year, a major boost to both sides. Now, for the first time in nearly 30 months since the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, substantive talks between India and Pakistan are being held in Islamabad, focusing initially on improving trade. For Professor Hassan Askari of Punjab University, the results could be significant, allowing both sides to reallocate resources better used elsewhere.
I think if these talks don't produce result and if the relations remain strained, I think both sides lose. They spend a lot of their resources, energy against each other, doing propaganda, strengthening their security forces, and a normal neighborly interaction does not take place.
But there is a lot of history to overcome. The two nations have fought 3 wars and several skirmishes since their creation following the British withdrawal in 1947. The core dispute between the two is the status of Kashmir, a predominantly Muslim region split at partition between Pakistani-controlled and Indian-controlled areas, and a source of dispute ever since. But as Pakistani Member of Parliament Abida Hussain puts it, this is about far more than territory or religion. Many of the important waterways in the region originate or run through Kashmir, making it strategically vital.
Kashmir is not about territory. Kashmir is about water. And further down the road, what we anticipate and apprehend is that our great Indian neighbor may say we are your friends, and while saying that, deny us water.
Further complicating the situation is that since the 1990s, both countries have developed and tested nuclear weapons. And critics say Pakistan, in particular, has fostered separatist movements to fight in Indian-controlled Kashmir, and can no longer control some of the extremists it trained for its own ends. With Pakistan's eyes still on its traditional enemy to the east, it is paying less attention to the lawless area in the west of the country and lacks the resources needed to combat the extremists operating there.
If relations with India improve, then Pakistan can spend most of its security attention to the tribal areas and Pakistan-Afghan border. At the moment, Pakistani attention is divided.
In addition, many critics say there are elements in the Pakistani establishment who continue to support the extremists, both to prepare for a potential conflict with India and to be a spoiler in Afghanistan. India has conducted a number of economic missions to Afghanistan, and Pakistan fears a pro-Indian regime in Kabul could box in Pakistan on both fronts. Pakistan continues to devote most of its attention to India in order to keep its traditional enemy in check and make it aware of the potential for a deadly, possibly nuclear confrontation.
All of this means that despite the hopes being pinned on these talks, this border remains what many call one of the world's most dangerous fault lines. Phil Ittner, VOA News at the Wagah crossing, Pakistan.